Welcome to Module 19, Managing Security Settings. This module covers account security, workstation security, browser security, and troubleshooting workstation security issues, all Core A plus 220-1202 skills. By the end of this module, you'll be able to configure workstation security, configure browser security, and troubleshoot workstation security issues. These three outcomes map to the lessons ahead. Lesson 19.1, Account Security. This lesson maps to A plus 220-1202 Objective 2.7, applying workstation security options and hardening techniques. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer: what considerations go into selecting a password? How does encrypting your data make it harder to access? What best practices apply to personal versus corporate accounts? What methods restrict access to a system and its data? And what applications manage security policies in an Active Directory environment? Use at least 12 to 16 characters combining upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. Avoid personal info like birthdays or names, and prefer passphrases over random strings. Enable multi-factor authentication for all accounts, and use a password manager to generate and store unique passwords securely. Encryption converts readable data into ciphertext, requiring a decryption key to read it, protecting against unauthorized access even if a device is stolen. Common examples include BitLocker or EFS on Windows, and full disk encryption for laptops and removable drives. Encryption is strongest when paired with secure key storage, like a TPM chip. Use least privilege, standard accounts for daily tasks, admin access only when required. Change default usernames and passwords, especially on routers and IoT devices. Enable MFA and lockout policies after failed logins, and disable or delete unused accounts and guest logins. Corporate systems typically enforce all of this through group policy or Active Directory. Use NTFS permissions to control file and folder access, apply BitLocker or EFS to secure stored data, configure screensaver locks and timeout policies, and use Windows Firewall and user account control to restrict execution. In organizations, all of this gets enforced through group policy objects. The Group Policy Management Console provides centralized control for user and device settings. Local Security Policy is the standalone systems version of a GPO. Active Directory Users and Computers lets you create, disable, or manage accounts. Security templates and scripts automate compliance across the domain, enforcing password complexity, audit policies, and software restrictions. Here's what this lesson covers: password best practices, end-user best practices, restricting user permissions, changing the default administrator account and password, disabling the guest account, account policies, and unused services. Use strong, unique passwords, 12+ characters with letters, numbers, and symbols, and prefer passphrases over random strings. Avoid personal info and deprecated rules like forced frequent expiration. Configure BIOS or UEFI passwords to secure firmware and prevent unauthorized booting. Enable pre-boot authentication to verify credentials before the OS loads, and supplement all of this with multi-factor authentication wherever possible. Lock workstations or use auto-lock when unattended. Secure laptops with cable locks, and keep devices in view or locked away. Protect personally identifiable information with a clean desk policy and encrypted storage. Use password managers to generate and store complex credentials, access or store data only in authorized systems, never personal drives or clouds, and report lost or stolen devices immediately to IT or security. Apply the principle of least privilege. Users get only the access they need. Manage file and folder permissions via data owners, and manage broader rights and roles via network or domain admins. Limit administrator accounts, using UAC on Windows, or sudo on Unix and Linux for elevated tasks. UAC prompts for permission, or an admin password before system-affecting changes. Sudo lets a permitted user run a single command with elevated privileges without logging in as root, controlled through the sudo or its configuration file. Disable guest or shared accounts, and regularly review and audit permissions. Disable or rename default admin accounts whenever possible, and change default passwords immediately upon setup. Restrict admin credentials to authorized personnel, and store them securely in a password vault. Log and monitor all admin account activity for anomalies. Enforce separation of duties, different users for admin tasks versus audit and monitoring, and regularly review and rotate admin credentials as part of security policy. Disable guest or public accounts unless explicitly needed for business purposes. Use temporary credentials for short-term access instead of permanent guest accounts, and monitor guest access points like shared Wi-Fi, portals, or kiosks. Restrict permissions entirely. No admin, network, or local file privileges, and audit and remove inactive guest profiles regularly. Configure account policies using local security policy for single systems or group policy objects in Active Directory. Restrict logon times and workstation access, or enforce account expiration dates. Lock accounts after repeated failed sign-in attempts to defend against brute force attacks, limit concurrent logins to reduce credential sharing, and enforce session timeouts and screen locks after inactivity. Regularly review and audit these policies for compliance. Disable unnecessary services such as Bluetooth, NFC, AirDrop, or file sharing. Turn off remote connections like remote desktop or SSH when not required. And disable auto start or background apps that increase the attack surface. Restrict auto updates to trusted sources or managed policies, and only enable services when needed, verifying they're properly secured. Lesson 19.2 Workstation Security. This lesson maps to 2A plus 2.2.0.1.2.0.2 objectives. 2.2 Configuring and applying basic Microsoft Windows OS security settings. And 2.7 Applying workstation security options and hardening techniques. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer: what protections does Windows Defender provide to a workstation? What type of firewall is Windows Defender Firewall? And what encryption programs are available within the Windows operating system environment? Real-time protection scans files, downloads, and programs for threats. Cloud-based intelligence uses Microsoft's Global Threat Database for faster detection. Ransomware protection, through controlled folder access, blocks unauthorized encryption attempts. Exploit and network protection guards against malicious scripts and network-based attacks. And automatic definition updates keep defenses current without any user action. Windows Defender Firewall is a stateful, host-based firewall integrated into Windows, monitoring both inbound and outbound traffic based on predefined or custom rules. It's configurable with separate profiles for domain, private, and public networks, preventing unauthorized connections while still allowing trusted apps and services. Exceptions are managed through Windows Security or Group Policy for enterprise control. BitLocker Drive Encryption encrypts entire drives using the TPM chip. BitLocker To Go secures removable USB and external drives. The encrypting file system encrypts individual files and folders for user-level control. Windows Hello with TPM integration adds biometric and hardware-based protection, and recovery keys plus group policy support allow both recovery and centralized management. Here's what this lesson covers: execution control, trusted and untrusted software sources, auto-run and autoplay, Windows Defender Antivirus and its updated definitions, activating and deactivating Defender, Windows Defender Firewall, the encrypting file system, and Windows BitLocker. Time for a simulation. Workstation Security Hardening. As IT administrator securing a workstation for a new employee, configure account security, including password policies and disabling guest accounts, restrict user permissions using least privilege, enable encryption for sensitive files using EFS or BitLocker, and configure Windows Defender antivirus and firewall settings. Authentication and authorization together manage user access and rights. Execution control blocks malicious software from running in the first place. UAC confirms system changes even for administrators, adding a checkpoint before anything potentially risky happens. Run as administrator grants admin privileges securely, only for the specific task that needs them. Restrict unapproved software installations to reduce malware risk. Verify digital signatures or code signing to confirm publisher identity and integrity. Use approved repositories or app stores to prevent installing tampered applications. Implement allow and deny lists through group policy or application control tools, and educate users to avoid freeware, torrents, or unverified download sites. Legacy auto-run, automatically executed files from media like CDs or USBs, high risk, and exploited historically by worms like Configure. Disabling auto-run and autoplay stops programs from launching automatically, reducing malware risk from removable drives. Modern autoplay in Windows 10 and 11 instead prompts the user to choose an action, like opening a folder or playing media, a much safer default with no silent execution. You can configure this through Windows Settings, Devices, Autoplay, through Group Policy, or directly in the registry. Malware risks include exploits, phishing, ransomware, and unauthorized access attempts, often delivered through malicious links, attachments, or removable media. Protection methods layer together. Antivirus detects known threats via signature and heuristic scans. Anti-malware blocks Trojans, spyware, and ransomware behaviors. And Windows Defender provides integrated real-time protection with cloud-based analysis. Defender downloads new virus definitions automatically via Windows Update. Manage and check status through Windows Security Center, virus and threat protection, with logs available through Windows Event Viewer. Here's what Windows Security's virus and threat protection dashboard actually looks like. Notice the real-time protection status and the most recent scan results. Windows Defender's real-time protection can be temporarily disabled for troubleshooting, and it automatically reactivates after a short time or system restart. Installing third-party antivirus automatically disables Defender, though it can also be managed or disabled through group policy using gpedit.msc. Exclusions let you skip scanning specific folders or files, like VMs, dev folders, or known false positives, but use them only when necessary to maintain a security balance. Always check status to verify Defender or third-party AV is active, updated, and scanning correctly. Windows Defender Firewall filters inbound and outbound network traffic based on rules, allowing safe traffic and blocking unauthorized connections. Advanced rules let you create custom rules by port, protocol, application, or IP address, with separate profiles for domain, private, and public networks. The default policies block inbound and allow outbound traffic for most profiles, with exceptions configurable for trusted apps or services. Manage it all through wf.msc, Windows Defender Firewall with advanced security, whether on standalone PCs or domain systems via group policy. Here's what Windows Defender Firewall with advanced security actually looks like. Notice the inbound and outbound rule lists you'd configure directly. The encrypting file system provides data at rest protection, encrypting stored files to prevent unauthorized access if a device is lost or stolen. EFS is built into Windows Pro, Enterprise, and Education editions, encrypting individual files and folders on NTFS volumes. It's not available in Windows Home. Only the user who encrypted the file, or a designated recovery agent, can decrypt it, and it works alongside NTFS permissions for layered security. Encryption relies on user certificates and keys stored in Windows. Always back up your EFS certificate through cert.mgr.msc to prevent permanent data loss. BitLocker provides full disk encryption, encrypting the entire drive including system files and temporary data, protecting data even if the drive is removed from the computer. BitLocker To Go extends that encryption to USB drives and external storage, requiring a password or smart card to unlock on other systems. Encryption keys are stored securely in the TPM chip when available, or you can use pins, smart cards, or USB startup keys. The recovery key is a unique 48-digit key generated during setup. Store it safely, since it's needed if the TPM fails, the motherboard is replaced, or the OS is reinstalled. Lesson 19.3 Browser Security. This lesson maps to A+2201-202 Objective 2.11, Configuring Relevant Security Settings in a Browser. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer: how can you verify a downloaded browser hasn't been tampered with? Why might someone consider using an untrusted source for a plugin or extension? Why might you clear your cache and browsing data? And what does private browsing mode actually mean? Use checksums or digital signatures. Compare the SHA-256 or MD5 hash with the value published on the vendor's website. Verify the publisher certificate, since the installer should be digitally signed by the official developer, like Microsoft or Mozilla. And download only from trusted sources, the official vendor site, or a verified app store. Untrusted sources carry real malware risk. They may inject ads, steal data, or track browsing activity. There's also privilege abuse risk, since malicious add-ons can read or alter web content. Best practice: install only from official browser extension stores and review the permissions and extension requests before installing it. Clearing your cache frees space and removes stored credentials, cookies, and history, which helps prevent autofill or session hijacking on shared or public computers. It also fixes loading errors or outdated content after updates. Use the browser's Clear Browsing Data option, or the Ctrl+Shift+Delete shortcut. Private browsing, also called incognito, in private, or a private window, prevents saving browsing history, cookies, and form data or cache locally. Importantly, it does not hide your activity from your ISP, your employer, or the websites themselves. Here's what this lesson covers: browser selection and installation, browser settings, extensions and plugins, browser patching, secure connections and valid certificates, and browser privacy settings. Choose modern secure browsers like Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Safari, or privacy-focused options like Brave or DuckDuckGo browser, and keep them updated automatically for security patches. Always download from official vendor sites or verified app stores, using hash or digital signature verification to confirm file integrity. Avoid third-party or freeware sites, which carry the risk of spyware, adware, or Trojan-bundled installers. Watch for potentially unwanted applications too, bundled toolbars, trialware, or hidden add-ons, and remove them using Windows Defender's PUA protection setting or similar tools. Access general browser settings through menus or direct URLs like chrome://settings or edge://settings. In enterprise environments, admins control these through the Group Policy Management console, enforcing homepage, extensions, and password policies. Sync features let you sign in to sync bookmarks, passwords, extensions, and history. Use caution on shared or public devices. Password managers, built-in or third-party, generate and autofill strong passwords, protected by a master password or encryption. Advanced options give access to developer tools, site permissions, and experimental flags, useful for troubleshooting. Add-ons extend browser functionality through extensions, plugins, apps, and themes. Think ad blockers, password managers, or dark mode tools. Extensions add custom features. Install only from trusted sources like the Chrome Web Store or Firefox add-ons, and review requested permissions before installing. Plugins are older technology, once used for Flash, Java, or Silverlight, now deprecated and replaced by HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. Best practices: use verified extension stores only, disable or remove unused add-ons, and keep extensions updated automatically. Regular browser updates patch vulnerabilities, close zero-day exploits, and improve performance and compatibility, critical for defending against drive-by downloads and malicious web scripts. Microsoft Edge updates through help and feedback. About Microsoft Edge, managed automatically via Windows Update or group policy. Firefox and Chrome auto-update at startup, with a manual check available through help. About Safari updates through macOS Software Update or the App Store. For other, niche or legacy browsers, ensure manual or scheduled patching, and only use versions that still receive security support. TLS encrypts web traffic for confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. It replaced SSL and prevents eavesdropping and tampering. Digital certificates confirm a site's identity. The HTTPS padlock icon indicates a valid, encrypted connection, while invalid, expired, or self-signed certificates trigger warnings. Certificate authorities like DigiCert, Let's Encrypt, or GlobalSign are trusted organizations that issue and sign certificates, chaining up to a trusted root. Root certificates are stored in the Windows Certificate Store or browser-specific stores, and enterprises can add internal CA roots for corporate systems. Here's what checking a website's certificate actually looks like. Notice the padlock icon, the certificate details, and the chain of trust leading back to a recognized certificate authority. Privacy controls let you manage cookies, trackers, and third-party site data, enable Do Not Track, and adjust site-specific permissions for camera, mic, and location access. Blocking tools include pop-up and ad blockers, anti-tracking filters, or a proxy or VPN for anonymity. Secure DNS, or DNS over HTTPS, encrypts DNS queries to prevent ISP or attacker snooping, and helps ensure domain lookups are authentic. And regularly clearing browsing data, history, cache, cookies, protects privacy further, whether manually through private or incognito mode, or by setting automatic clearing on browser exit. Time for an analysis. Browser security threat. A user reports unusual browser behavior, pop-ups, redirection to untrusted websites, and certificate warnings. Identify the symptoms and potential threats, troubleshoot browser settings like clearing cache or disabling add-ons, verify secure connections and certificates, and recommend preventative measures to avoid future issues. Lesson 19.4. Troubleshoot workstation security. This lesson maps to 3A plus 2201-202 objectives. 2.4. Summarizing types of malware and detection, removal, and prevention methods. 2.6. Implementing procedures for basic SOHO malware removal. And 3.4. Troubleshooting common PC security issues. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer: how does a malware vector differ from a malware payload? What is ransomware? What best practices combat malware and its undesired side effects? And what steps troubleshoot security issues within a workstation? A malware vector is the delivery method, how malware enters the system. Examples include phishing emails, infected USBs, malicious links, and drive-by downloads. A malware payload is the harmful action executed after infection, deleting files, encrypting data, installing spyware. Think of it this way: the vector is the delivery vehicle, and the payload is the weapon inside it. Ransomware is malware that encrypts user data and demands payment for decryption. Common delivery vectors include phishing attachments, remote desktop exploits, and fake software updates. Symptoms include files renamed with unusual extensions, a ransom note displayed on screen, and access denied to critical files. Prevention: maintain offline backups, enable Defender's controlled folder access, and apply security patches promptly. Here's what a ransomware attack actually looks like in practice. Notice the ransom note and the file extensions that have been changed, both classic signs of encryption in progress. For prevention, use real-time antivirus with automatic updates, restrict admin privileges, and enforce strong passwords. For detection, run Windows Defender or approved anti-malware scans regularly, and monitor for unusual system behavior or network activity. For response, quarantine and remove threats, restore from clean backups, update definitions, and educate users on safe browsing and email habits. Step 1. Identify symptoms like slow performance, pop-ups, or strange network use. Step 2. Isolate the workstation from the network. Step 3. Run full antivirus and anti-malware scans. Step 4. Check event logs and startup programs for suspicious entries. Step 5. Apply updates. restore damaged files, and re-enable security features. Step 6. Document and report your findings to the IT or security team. Here's Step 3 in that troubleshooting sequence: running antivirus scans. Notice the scan progress and the kind of threat detail it surfaces along the way. Here's what this lesson covers: malware vectors, malware payloads, ransomware and crypto miners, troubleshooting PC security symptoms, desktop alerts and notifications, endpoint monitoring solutions, troubleshooting browser symptoms, best practices for malware removal, quarantining infected systems, malware removal tools and methods, and malware infection prevention. Malware is any malicious software designed to disrupt, damage, or gain unauthorized access. A virus attaches to legitimate files or programs and spreads via execution. A Trojan horse masquerades as safe software while installing hidden malicious code. A worm self-replicates across networks or devices without any user action. And fileless malware runs entirely in memory using scripts or trusted processes, making it harder to detect with traditional antivirus tools. Backdoors create remote entry points for attackers to steal data, control systems, or launch botnets and DDoS attacks. Adware displays unwanted ads and can redirect browsers or slow performance, sometimes tracking user behavior for profit. Spyware and keyloggers silently record keystrokes, credentials, or browsing activity, often running as hidden background processes or browser extensions. And rootkits hide malware deep in the operating system by mimicking legitimate processes, extremely difficult to detect, often requiring specialized removal tools. Ransomware blocks user access to data or systems until a ransom is paid, often showing fake warnings or threats like FBI lock scams. Crypto ransomware specifically encrypts files with strong algorithms and demands payment for a decryption key. Common families include WannaCry, Ryuk, Lockbit, and Maze. Payment typically uses cryptocurrency or wire transfers for anonymity, and victims rarely regain access even after paying. Crypto miners, meanwhile, hijack system or GPU resources to mine cryptocurrency in the background, causing slow performance, overheating, and high power use. Performance issues show up as unusually slow startup, high CPU usage, or network lag. Check for crypto miners or excessive background tasks. App crashes or failures, where security tools or core OS apps stop responding, could indicate malware tampering or corrupted system files. File or permission errors show up as missing, renamed, or locked files, or unexpected access denied messages. Unusual behavior includes browser redirects, fake antivirus alerts, or disabled antivirus and firewall services. Response actions: scan with updated antivirus, quarantine or remove infected files, and monitor for reoccurrence. Most malware requires user interaction, clicking allow or run, so avoid granting elevated privileges without verifying the source. Fake notifications display false alerts, like your PC is infected, tricking users into downloading malicious software or revealing credentials. Drive-by downloads install malware automatically just from visiting a compromised website. Fake antivirus programs are Trojans disguised as security tools that demand payment to quote, remove threats. And tech support scams have attackers impersonate IT or Microsoft support. Best practice: verify alerts through official system settings and keep software patched. Monitoring detects and alerts on endpoint activity, malware, abnormal logins, policy violations, relying on logs and antivirus alerts, though it's reactive and needs manual analysis. EDR uses AI and behavioral analytics to spot suspicious processes or lateral movement, automating isolation and remediation with a forensic trail. MDR outsources 24/7 monitoring to manage security service providers, adding human threat hunters, ideal for organizations without a full-time security team. And XDR expands EDR beyond endpoints to email, cloud apps, servers, and networks, supporting zero-trust environments. Common symptoms: frequent pop-ups, new toolbars, browser crashes, slow performance, or an unexpected default homepage. Redirection issues send users to spoofed pages, often from malicious extensions or DNS hijacking. Certificate warnings flag untrusted or mismatched certificates, which can indicate a man-in-the-middle attack. On-path attacks involve a network attacker intercepting and modifying HTTPS traffic, showing up as mixed content warnings. Fixes: clear cache and cookies, disable untrusted add-ons, reset settings, scan for malware, verify DNS configuration, and as a last resort, reinstall the browser. Here's what a hijacked browser homepage actually looks like. Notice the unfamiliar search engine and the kind of unwanted toolbar that often comes bundled with it. First, verify symptoms. Confirm the issue is actually malware, not a hardware or software conflict, checking error messages, logs, and task manager behavior. Second, quarantine the infected system by disconnecting it from the network. Third, disable system restore to prevent reinfection from cached restore points. Fourth, boot into safe mode, Run updated antivirus tools, remove detected threats, and verify critical files. 5th, re-enable system restore or file history, and schedule regular scans. 6th, educate users on phishing, attachments, and software hygiene, and lean on your antivirus vendor's documentation. Here's that same 6-step malware removal process laid out visually. Verify, quarantine, disable restore, update and scan, restore and resecure, then educate and prevent. First, quarantine. Immediately disconnect the device from wired or wireless networks and block administrative logins or remote sessions to prevent lateral movement. Second, secure. Move the system to a sandbox or isolated VLAN for controlled analysis. Preserve logs, memory, and system images for forensic review, and document every action taken. Third, scan media. Check all USB drives, shared folders, and external disks for infection using offline antivirus tools, and disable auto-run and autoplay to avoid reinfection. Fourth, disable restore. Turn off system restore or shadow copies during cleanup, re-enabling only after full remediation. Antivirus and anti-malware. Keep definitions fully updated before scanning. Run full system and boot time scans and choose the right action: clean, quarantine, or delete. Manual removal. Use safe mode to stop active malware processes, manually remove malicious startup items, registry entries, or files using WinRE or Linux boot media for offline cleanup. Disk scanning. Remove the infected drive, attach it to a known clean system, and run offline antivirus or forensic tools. Reinstall or recover. When cleanup fails, reformat and reinstall the OS, restoring only verified clean backups, and apply all updates immediately after. On-access scanning keeps real-time protection enabled to detect malware instantly, monitoring file access, downloads, and removable drives. Scheduled scans run automated full scans weekly or daily on high-risk systems, keeping definitions up to date. Restore services means re-enabling backup, DNS, and firewall settings after cleanup, and verifying security baselines are intact. A final system scan performs a comprehensive check before returning to production. And user training reinforces safe browsing and email habits, promoting password hygiene and MFA. Here's what that layered malware prevention approach actually looks like in practice: real-time scanning, scheduled full scans, and the user training that ties it all together. To wrap up Module 19, IT professionals must be knowledgeable in workstation configuration and browser security to protect against insider threats and advanced malware. Applying best practices in identifying, troubleshooting, and mitigating security incidents helps maintain system security. Having a safe and secure browser connection is essential to a secure environment, and IT professionals need to quickly and efficiently apply solutions to workstations for both operational and outage issues.